the Wolves. We have a couple of problems with the Wolves. And, one of the things about them is that in the preseason, they were resting Rudy Gobert coming off a Eurobasket. And obviously Karl Towns was ill and he missed a bunch of time. So, when the Nets say they need, time to gel, it's one thing. When the Wolves say it, it's kind of something else. But in the last week, we've had Anthony Edwards say it's better for me when we play small, which he's probably right about that to a certain extent. But that's
Wrong
worrisome
team.
Considering they've extremely heavily invested in playing big. And Chris Finch, their head coach, after we talked about Ohio State football for 10 minutes, we had a 2-minute interview. I'm just kidding. It was more like 7-minute interview. No, anyway, he said to me on the record, it was in the story, when you have Karl Towns, you don't play small. And you've got Anthony Edwards talking about wanting to play small. And then a couple of days later, you've got Karl Towns basically saying Anthony Edwards doesn't take care of his body like he should. And in this particular case, saying he eats too much Popeye's chicken. To which Anthony Edwards came back and said, I haven't had Popeyes in 2 years.
Yeah, but Anthony, and I actually saw these guys in OKC. I went up there to see him on Sunday, and Ant readily acknowledges he reported too heavy. Now he says it was because he was in the weight room so much and not in the drive-through, but whatever. He reported at 239. He says he's back down to 230, but like you ask him, like Rudy Gobert is telling me, hey, Anthony Edwards has a chance to be an all defensive player, but I got to basically be on his ass to help make it happen. And Edwards admits, like, I've also got to get in better shape because I can't carry the load on the offensive end and have energy defensively in the kind of shape that I'm in. I mean, he admits that. I don't think he needs Cat going in front of the media calling him out. And I just honestly, I don't think Cat has the kind of credibility to where he can be calling teammates out on stuff when he's got a history of disappointing performances when the pressure is highest. But that's neither here nor there. And then it's so I saw them right after Ant said, the smaller the better for me. And he didn't walk back those comments, but basically what he says is, look, man, I don't want to talk about lineups. Like, dude, I'm a third year guy. That's the coach's job. And so even post game, that's when Naz Reid came out and lit it up and they put the Thunder away. The local media, which is all on Zoom because nobody's traveling, which is neither here nor there. But anyways, they're asking him about that lineup. And Ant basically says, hey, guys, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Don't ask me about lineup stuff. Like, it ain't my job. You're putting me in a bad spot. I don't want to talk about it. And we're walking out, and he says to their PR chief, he says, hey, man, like, will you tell those guys, like, don't ask me about lineups? He's like, they work for the team and they're asking me about lineups. And it's like, they don't work for the team. So my point is, it is a young guy who still has a lot to learn. And Wendy, you're on mute. Wendy, your mouth is moving, but you're muted.
He probably doesn't like it because he got caught truth telling.
Yes, exactly. And his point is like, dude, me expressing my opinions about that is clearly counterproductive. So he doesn't want to be asked because he doesn't want to sit up there and kind of mealy mouth stuff. But it's interesting. They make such a massive, franchise changing move. And, as you wrote preseason, Tim Connolly, who, the new sheriff in town, he didn't consult Karl Anthony Towns. He didn't consult Anthony Edwards, which is, it's interesting. Typically you make that kind of major move and your franchise cornerstones are if not influencing the conversation, at least involved.
I just think it's going to take a lot of things to fall into place to make it work from the pressures from the other teams. The other teams are going to come after these big lineups, and it's going to be incumbent on them to use the advantages that they create to overcome the disadvantages in the modern NBA. But we're early here, but they're having issues dealing with it internally. And I don't think that they can't be solved, because Karl Towns and Anthony Edwards playing together last year were in many cases a killer duo. They ruined a lot of teams' nights. Their future is very bright. I'm a believer in that duo. I'm a skeptic that the big lineup can work, but I'm certainly not going to make a judgment now. But I think it's relevant that they're already having some inter-team dynamic issues that are spilling over publicly. And they're having a little bit of struggles early in the season.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.